Boy, Christmas brought so much joy. Couldn't wait for the presents and laughter. I couldn't sleep late at night, looking for Santa with lights. Those are the memories I still remember. Then I became a man, lost sight of who I am, but right in front of me was the answer. 'Cause on Christmas I feel joy, and I turn back to a boy. The answer is to stay young forever. This is not a Christmas, this is not a Christmas song. This is not a Christmas, this is not a Christmas song. This is not a Christmas, this is not a Christmas song. This is not a Christmas, this is not a Christmas song.
Hello, Star Wars fans. You know, there are 306 days until Christmas 2024, and this is not a Ray movie song. Matt Risman, one of these days, my friend, one of these days. Pow, straight to the moon. No. Oh my goodness. So, hey, it's Friday, and we're going to talk about Star Wars. And hey, Trucker Mark, good to see you. I haven't seen you in a while. We got my friend Jason Ward here with us. Let's bring Jason in. We've got some things to talk about. Let's see if show Jason. I'd like to show Jason, please. There he is.
Yeah. Are you embarrassed of me? Why won't you show me Star Wars Santa?
Button wasn't working. It's going well. It's going well. We've got some things to talk about because I think there are a lot of content creators. There are a lot of people, Star Wars fans, who watch these episodes of The Bad Batch and are making some incorrect deductions, incorrect assumptions.
You're all stupid, and we're here to set you straight, fools.
Maybe I'm wrong too, but I don't think I am.
No, you're not wrong. They're stupid and you're smart. Idiots.
I didn't say that. No. Okay. but let's go through some things. We had the premiere of the Bad Batch season 3. I think generally it's getting positive reviews from folks that I have seen anyway. Across the board, there's some consternation and frustration with some things that people connect to the sequels, and they have such a loathing of the sequels that any kind of connection to them gives them a little trauma. But
well, they could take it up with their therapist. It's been 5 years, and mommy's never coming home. So
Trev asked a question, and and it's good to see you, Trev. I felt like there were several things through these episodes that reminded me of Heir to the Empire and Wayland. And for those of you who don't know,
so no pilots, Scott Wayland, that we're talking about.
No, Mount Tantus is where this facility is, where we spent the time where Omega is being held. Mount Tantus is on a planet called Wayland. So in the Heir to the Empire novels from the 90s, we were introduced to Wayland, and Mount Tantus there. There were some things on on Wayland that were critters. There were things that were very, very dangerous. And as they were making their way through the jungle to the mountain, they were constantly fighting back critters that were trying to kill them. So we get the same sort of thing happening on Wayland when, like, the shuttle crashes in episode 1 and the troopers survive the crash. They get out. Then they don't survive. Right? Some critters catch them, and then later we see, of course, they've got the hounds that are going out to try to keep these critters from bothering them, and they're when eventually Omega and Crosshair make their way out, then they have to run away from these critters as well. So all of that is in play. All of that is things that I felt like came from the novel. And Trev is asking, did you feel like the chase scene at the end of episode 3 was akin to Heir to the Empire? Mara, Luke through the forest hiding from the Thrawn segment. I didn't connect that, Trev. That's I didn't. No.
Well, I did. I thought the whole thing was pretty much an adaptation of Heir to the Empire, word for word, practically.
It is very close. It's very, very
Does
close.
my mic sound better? It turns out I was on the wrong mic before, and I think I fixed it.
It does sound better. You don't have like you're in an empty room echo.
Thank you, Bespin Bulletin, sound man producer.
Very good. Very good. Yes, Matt Risman. Somehow the sequel tie-ins have returned. And we're going to talk about that in just a moment too. Ben, hello. He says, yeah, for me being such a big Legends fan, I really appreciate them bringing Mount Tantus to the screen and literally having the Emperor there. Never thought I would have seen the day. Yeah, it's fantastic. Let's see, was Bad Batch the best animated? Was Bad Batch the best animated episodes in quite a while? I feel like season 3 is going to pay off those loyal Star Wars fans that watch the entirety of this show. I agree with you, Ben. And for fans of Heir to the Empire, those old novels, I think it's a payoff to us as well. It's not a one-for-one, obviously. We don't have some of the same characters in play. We don't have some of the same situations in play. But you can see where they're definitely taking inspiration from there, and they're keeping loyal to many of the aspects of those novels, which is fantastic. So I want to bring up something else, just a timeline kind of thing. When episode 1 opens and you see Omega in her cell, her dorm room, whatever you want to call that, she's looking off on the wall how long she's been there. And it's got like 21 days on there at the beginning of the episode. Then things happen, time passes, you come back in the next scene after you count those, and on the wall there are a whole lot more tick marks. So a lot of time passed between one scene and the next scene, and somebody actually counted those up, and it turns out that it's been about 5.5 months in total. So you got about 5 months between the one scene and then the next scene.
Is that when she grows the ponytail, or was the ponytail there and I just didn't notice?
I think she grows it in there.
Okay.
Yeah,
it's a little Anakin Skywalker pirate ponytail that Hayden was like, I'm not wearing this. It's pretty much that haircut.
It absolutely it matches her sister's ponytail. If you look at her sister, she's got the same ponytail, the exact same ponytail.
Yeah.
So that was Matt says 108 days passed. So in episode 1 he says 108. So I think that's close to what I saw. Not quite as many days because they said 169 tick marks on the wall, and 169 minus 21 would be 148. So 109, 148, either way, right? It works out about 5 months. So it's been a while. Right? She's been on there for a while. Matt says, I think the 169 is from episode 3. Oh, it could be. So we get between all 3 episodes, 5.5 months total that Omega has been in that facility. So fantastic stuff. And what are they doing there? Well, I took some screenshots because I think people are missing it. I think people are missing it. We're going to go through these together.
See, in this frame, her ponytail is 3 inches longer, so therefore we know now it is 6.5 months. Right? Is that where we're going with it?
Average human hair growth. No. In episode 1,
a big old Santa beard in the next one. She's like, it's been so long. What was Palpatine looking at? It's been so long.
So in this scene, this is from episode 1. You can see Nala Se talking with Hemlock there, and he says the Emperor. Or she tells him the Emperor should be pleased. We accomplished such a transfer, a successful transfer. Transfer of what? You may ask.
The Apple paid him for the tuna melt that they had for lunch. They did it.
Hemlock replies back. Not when the M count was severely diminished in the process. So they're trying to transfer M counts. Okay. So you have M counts, you try to transfer M counts, but they diminish. Put 100 in, you only get 20 out. Not good. Yeah. You want 100 in, 100 out. Papa Palps.
I need more chlorians.
Right. He does not want to transfer his essence into another body and lose 80% of his power. Palps is not about that, right? He wants the full load, so to say. I know, Jason. Good thing Meg's not here because neither one of you can avoid that line. But he wants full capacity. Oh, I should mention something while we're talking about episode 1, and we got the little scroll going down there at the bottom.
He wants an old empire.
Wall of Fame. Wall of Fame from episode 1. These are folks that on the predictions this week did as well or better than myself, and they make it on the Wall of Fame for episode 1. Star Wars Fits, Timo. I saw KG. We've got a lot of folks here. Skywalker's Academy. He won the day. He got a 5-point bonus question, so that's what put Dale way ahead. Brian Stone, Brett Phillips, Don K, and KG. So there you go. That was episode 1. I also have Wall of Fame for episode 2 and 3 and our leaderboard. So we'll go through that in a moment as we're talking. It says, so the M counts were diminished in the process of this transfer. Right. Next scene. If we do not match or exceed the specimen's original count, what's the specimen? We don't know. This is the thing. We don't know.
I think you just said it a minute ago. It was like Palpatine's load, right? His M count load.
I don't know if he would be willing to donate his own blood at this point of the process.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think he would be more inclined.
Think he's blood shy? He's like, oh, I don't know. I don't like needles.
Maybe. Yeah. I just think he sees himself as being far too valuable to be used in experiments. Right? You're not experimenting with my blood. You gotta take somebody else's blood. So maybe they're using blood from the hand of Luke. Maybe they're just using some random Jedi that they've captured and taking their blood. We don't know. There's lots of speculation. Could be Grogu. Could be Palps. Could be Anakin's severed leg. We don't know. Okay. So we just don't know yet. And hopefully, I think, as you said, hopefully we'll get that reward by the end of the season, right?
Yeah.
It's too soon for Luke's hand. Luke's hand hasn't been born yet, so Luke's hand isn't there. Yeah, good point. So in any event, we don't know what the specimen is. It could be that great big lizard that they caught. We don't, it could be anything. We don't know. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, why did they have those space dogs? Like, what was the point of the space dogs? Do we know?
Oh, they were to run off the critters that are around Mount.
Just those little spider thingies. Those little guys.
No. That was the other planet.
Oh, that was the other planet. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. This
I
planet
like them
has,
though. They were like little weirdos,
yeah,
like aliens, but a little weirder.
yeah. This planet has all kinds of beasts that will capture you and eat you. Right?
Okay.
They're not good. They're not good. So they go. They just pester them and run them off.
Mhm.
Sometimes they get hurt in the process. So
Okay.
anyway, that's that. So what was the name of the space hounds that hunt using the Force? I remember that, Trev. I remember that.
It was space dogs.
Oh, you're talking about from the? Oh, I know. He's talking about from the High Republic series. They're not exactly dogs. They're called the Unnamed. But they do have a dog-like.
But when you call it the unnamed, you've named it. What a dumb idea. Just saying, that's dumb.
No, they do have a name. They do have a name. It's
okay.
It's sort of like when you talk about Voldemort. You don't say his name.
But it's a dog.
Yeah, he who shall not be named. It's just that they were such terrifying creatures. They're the unnamed, but they want to kind of give them this air of mystery, air of
right.
Because the thing is, like and we're way off course here, you guys. The people who have those animals that sap Force from Jedi or Force users, they don't want the Jedi to know what they are. If we say, "Oh, those are the species," and as the species isn't coming to me right now, those are these, then they can go look it up and they can find out what they are. They can find out how they work. They can find out what their weaknesses are, so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
We call them the unnamed. Now the Jedi have to try to figure it out. But you know the problem? When the Jedi get close enough to see them, the Jedi die. So
that'll teach them.
Yeah. So it makes it just that much harder for them to get it. They're the nameless, but they do have a name. Trev's talking about a different one. Talon Carts. Oh yeah, they chase down
like
Luke.
Yoslamiri or whatever. Is that what they're talking about?
The Yoslamiri are the lizards that repel the Force.
I hate any concept like this though. I read that book when I was 9. I think it was 9 when it came out, and I read it. And I just remember being like 9 and being like, no, no, and that was my big Heir to the Empire gripe when I read it like in 2 days as like really young, and I was like, I was just like, no, this is impossible. Yoda says that the Force is in everything and it binds galaxy together. This does not make any sense. I hate science fiction writers. They're nerds. Like that was my whole takeaway on that day.
Let's drag everybody painfully back to the actual story.
Back to the pictures.
Back to the pictures.
Yeah.
They need to match or exceed the specimen's original count. They're trying to transfer M counts. If it's less, then it is a failure, right? So episode 3, before we get to episode 3, I'm going to put up our episode 2 Wall of Fame. Episode 2, we had a longer list of folks led by Baymax with only 8 points. You'll see we had CG and Timo also with 7 points. Brett KG made it again. 2 weeks, 2 episodes. She made it for both. RF Gaming channels on there. Mike Yaney, Skywalker's Academy, Star Wars Fits, and Star Wars Politics. He made it on there as well. Daniel Fisher, aka Dan and Tap. You see, with 5 points. You know why Daniel Fisher made it with 5 points? Because Santa only got 5 out of 10 correct. Was a rough episode for Santa, but just saying. So those folks made it for episode 2. Episode 2. So episode 3, they're having a little talk with Palpatine. He's come to inspect things. And Hemlock is telling Palpatine, with more time and additional resources, I'm confidently that we will have successful M count replication. At this point, I don't think they're trying to clone. It does not appear that they are cloning. They're trying to replicate M count, right? Transfer M count. from
Want
A to
higher
B.
M count. I'm a Sith Lord. I want a big old M count. Give it to me, Omega.
As I was telling
That was
Jason before the show, I
Disney
think
Plus is going to strike the channel if I keep doing that. They're going to be like, "Oh, they took a clip from the show." Sorry, I don't mean to get the show in trouble.
right. Well, that looks just like him. How did he get Ian McDermott on his show? We don't understand. So they're trying to transfer M count from A to B.
Yeah,
This is about M count transfer. This isn't about the cloning yet. There's two processes to the cloning. One is the M count deal. And if you read the old novel, as I have, the one that is the terrible, absolutely horrible novel that people, it's the most overrated Legends novel of all Legends novels. No, it's the one about Palpatine that says somebody else's name on it.
Are you talking about the Star Wars Insider exclusive Darth Tenebris story, sir?
I think Tenebris almost gets the same amount of coverage as Plagueis does in that book, but it's definitely a Palpatine book. I don't know why they put the wrong name on it.
Hey, Mike Porter, there's a joke there with Tenebris and Force Kin. Work it out. That's a freebie for you.
all my friends know how much I despise that novel, Darth Plagueis novel. But in the Darth Plagueis novel, Plagueis is constantly trying to do exactly what they're doing here. He's trying to transfer M count essence, right? So you've got a bunch. I'm going to transfer it from you to me, and he gets a brief high off of it, but then it diminishes. He's like, I need to figure out the way to keep it, right? If I kill somebody who has force abilities, has a high M count, we should be able to keep that. Real Ben, don't you say it. I've already read that terrible thing 3 times. 3 times I've gone through that just to satisfy you guys.
You don't have to do anything you don't want to.
I gave in to peer pressure.
Yeah,
I won't do it a 4th. I'm not doing. I recorded the 3rd time so that
you know what. The first time when you didn't like it should have been good for you. You don't have to listen to them. They'll just make you do it.
It gets worse every time I read it. It's terrible. It's terrible. So, not a fan. Not a fan. But that's what he's trying to do. He's trying to keep the
well written though. It is a well written book. Like
I reckon.
Like the actual writing.
It's also dumb.
The elements you could, that's up to personal taste. But it is Lucino is a good writer.
If I wanted to read a novel about the Flash, I would just go read a novel about the Flash. I don't need to read a Star Wars novel about the Flash. That's just dumb. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go read Plagueis. You'll see what I'm talking about.
It's a really weird gripe, but I'll allow it.
Anyway, Plagueis is trying to do this.
Yeah.
And so they brought it in here, right? So this is a little another nod to Legends material. We're trying to transfer M counts, but Plagueis was doing it by manipulating the dark side of the Force to push those M count over. Right? So he was forcing the M count through using the Force, right? So using the dark side of the Force, he was able to overcome the will of the Force, overcome the will of the midichlorians, and push them into himself. So here they're trying to do it through a cloning technique. Can we do it by science, right? And that's what they're trying to do. Transfer M count from here to there. Can we do it? And he said, we're making progress. We're making progress. Nerd Mafia? No. Do it. He says, no. Thank you for the super chat, Nerd Mafia. I'm not doing it.
It's treason then.
It is treason. It is. So we go on. Says, I'm confident we'll have a successful M count replication. And then later in the novel, you guys got me thinking. I'm going to go ahead and switch this over while I'm thinking about it to our episode 3 Wall of Fame, It's a bit much shorter list. But Brett Phillips is on there again. Brian Stone's on there again.
Is that
CCG is on there again.
Is that a free gift for spending $25 at adamandeve.com?
No.
Okay.
No. I'm only inferring what you mean by that. I don't even know what that is. But I can guess.
Those weirdos know.
I can guess.
Know.
So this may be difficult to see because it's kind of dark, but this is the first sample of Omega's blood as it's going through that centrifuge device, right?
So what you're saying is if she bleeds, she can be killed.
Maybe. I'm just saying, here's her blood, right? Here's her blood, right? And you can see the level in the vial.
Okay.
Is about halfway between the two bars.
Yeah.
Right? Roughly.
Okay.
Roughly half, right? It does its thing, and her sister turns around. She's sitting there working on her data pad. You hear bleep, 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 bleep. And she turns around, and it shows the vial again. And this time the vial, that blood is higher than about halfway between, I would say.
Santa, are you telling me it's teeming with midichlorians?
I'm saying whatever this subject that they have, right, the donor sample is being added to the blood of the samples taken from the individuals. And what I think is happening, and what I'm reading into this happening, Kanju, all of you, naughty list. I have the power to put all of you on the naughty list. I'll do it. Don't think I won't. I'll put you right on the naughty list. That'll be that. I've even got a song for it. Where's my song? Where's my song?
I think I lost Christmas since 1987, you guys. So he's not joking.
Here it is. There you go. All of you who send in a super chat for reading Plagueis, get the naughty song from here on. That's how that's going to go. Khonshu started it. Now, actually, it was
the amount of work that goes into recording a song. Like they were like, this one needs to be recorded.
It did. It's a great song. It's a fantastic song. It's a Meghan Trainor kills it, but it's great. But it started with Nerd Mafia, and now Khonshu's jumped on the board. Every super chat,
I heard Radiohead
goes straight onto the naughty list. That's it. I'm not having any more. You're all on the naughty list. No.
Is Meg's girlfriend? Does she go by Meghan Trainor?
Anyway, so what I think is happening is they're taking blood samples day to day, right? They've taken Omega's blood over and over and over and over and over again, right? And I don't think that they keep changing her blood in her. I think they're tweaking their process. So we have a process, we test it, we put a little bit of the sample blood in there, we mix it up, and we see, does it keep the same amount of M count?
And it's almost like an enzyme reaction, right? The way it sort of kind of changes, goes up.
Well, volume plus more volume makes more volume, right? So if you look, Fitz, you did this to yourself, Fitz. You did it to yourself. You have no one else to blame. It's just you.
This is like if Satan and Phil Collins had a baby. The song.
So is the blood added Sidious's? That's what we don't know. It's whatever that sample is, right? So what I think is they test it. They have a process, right?
So they cloned him. He's a Sidiot. That's what they call the dumb ones. The
they mix it up and then they test. Does it have more midichlorians in it, or does it degrade the midichlorians? Maybe the blood we have from the sample has no midichlorians in it, and then they add midichlorians to it. Risman, as soon as this goes away over my face, you're next. You're next.
How much of Tenebrus's blood is in it? The chat wants to know.
Maybe it is Tenebrus's blood. Maybe all this time Plagueis, Plagueis kept Tenebrus. Well, he actually kept the other guy, the other Bith. There was another Bith
where you get the good stuff.
There was another Bith Sith. Not Tenebrus had, right? He had two guys. He had Palpatine and the Bith guy, and then they fought. And Palpatine beats the Bith guy.
They should have tried therapy. I mean, like a counselor could have helped him. And
then he keeps him around. He keeps the Bith guy around so that he can
bring him back to life. Yeah, I like that part. I thought that was pretty fun.
So maybe that's what Palpatine's doing. He's keeping Plagueis around and keeps poking him with a stick, taking more out of it, keep him alive in that little chamber. How cool would that be if we turn around, that chamber opens and it's Plagueis in there?
Oh, okay.
Plagueis. People would lose their mind if you open that and Plagueis is in there. Oh, that would be a big deal.
Kill me, and you're like, no, we need you for episode 10, 11, 12.
Yeah, we're testing this. We're keeping you on life support here just to get your blood.
Yeah.
Anyway, so what I think's happening is, right, they have a process. They take all the blood from, all the clones that are there. They add a little magic to it. Test, does it still have the magic? If it doesn't have the magic, then we change the process again and we try it again. Day over day over day. Same thing over and over again, right? So there it is. Risman, naughty list. Yep. Risman was on the naughty list before, but now double naughty list.
You're like that guy in Andor, like one prisoner acts up and you shock the whole floor. Like we didn't do anything and you're shocking our feet. But our ears, you're shocking our ears.
Look, blame Risman. It's his fault. It's
one way out, Risman. One way out.
There's one way out. Well done, Jason. Well done. Well done. So they keep doing this. So this is Omega's blood. We see in the previous image, it's down about half. This image, it's up, right? And so I think that's what they're doing. They're adding. They're doing their little procedure to the process. Test it. Rinse and repeat until you find a process that works.
Then, like, now let's say drops it into the gutter, and then it drops out some turtles, and then the turtles turn into ninjas, and then Star Wars is now stolen Ninja Turtles. You could have that one for free, Filoni. That's how Disney does it.
Seth, again, it's these super chat. It's their fault. It's not my fault. Don't blame Santa. Yeah, don't. It's not my fault. They're doing it.
I keep going back to the picture. I go back to the picture, and then you put the naughty list, and
people on the naughty list. They keep doing that. So we go to the next picture here. I gotta reduce it down so we can read it again. This says the clone. This is Omega's blood. The clone sample, her sample, supported a positive M count transfer. This is the thing, right? This is it. There you go. Blame Plagueis. It's Plagueis' fault. That is. They're taking samples and then they're putting the M count in. The sample accepted a positive M count transfer. It's important because they're not putting M count into the subjects. They're putting M count into their samples. I think it's clear. So the thought that Omega has a high M count, or that she has force sensitivity, or she has force power, that's not the point. That's not what they're doing. Maybe she does, But that's not what's going on here. Khonshu, don't do it. Don't do it. Ugh, Khonshu. Dirty, rotten. Jason, it's not my fault.
I have an idea for you. I have an
It's
idea
not my
how
fault.
we could scam all these people. Want to scam them all? What we do is we say, yeah, you'll do it. We just take the text from the book, put it into the AI thing using your voice from this show. And then the AI will read the whole thing and you can say you did it and then they got to pay you. And then you can use that money.
No, they've been warned. When they do this, they get naughty list. And they're doing it so that they can get on the naughty list. I'm going to reward you. You want on the naughty list?
But if we do that, we could have Disney Plus without ads.
Who knew that you could pay to get onto the naughty list? Well, now you do. There's Khonshu. He did it. That's Khonshu. You're on the naughty list again. That's twice for you. That's twice in the same show. Naughty.
Make it naughty. Demonetizing in this episode for sure.
Oh yeah, this episode's gone.
Let's get it nuked.
No, this episode is definitely nuked. Yeah, 100%. Megan's taking all my money. She's going to get that 47 cents. Huh?
No.
There you go.
Oh, this is the best 47 cents I've ever earned in my whole life. I love James Lucino's Darth Plagueis, and that guy is the worst.
It's terrible. It's so the clone sample supported M count transfer. They're not putting M counts into their clones. They're putting M count into the clones samples, and they're saying the mix of process plus the sample, right? The clone equals success or failure, and they keep trying and keep trying and keep trying. That's the experiment.
Do you think what Palpatine's looking at is M count Dracula? Maybe. Oh, I have midichlorians. Who wants them?
No.
I'm not a bad guy. You think I'm Darth Sidious? No? Okay.
No. So you can see the clone sample supported positive M count transfer with no degradation from the specimen. This is what they've been trying to do. From episode 1, when they say that's just what they're trying to do. Episode 3, you see they found it. Here we go. We have the process. We have the specimen. We could just put them together. And then what's the next step? What's the next step? What's
Profit.
The capacity? No, what's the top mark, right? So if you put in 100 and it stays 100, great. Can you put in 1,000,000? What about 1 billion, right? Whatever the amount of midichlorians that Palpatine has, you would assume is much higher than anything else. And this leads to other stories, right? So we see what's going on here. Yeah. I think if we tie into what you see in The Mandalorian, Dr. Pershing's experiment, what's going on there?
That's what I like about where it seems like the final season is going, is that you end up the story ends up being about these genetic experiments that are the clones that goes, Frankenstein on them, on their creators essentially. And then by the end of the day, the whole reason for it was for Palpatine to become immortal. And these 5 idiots or whatever, they stop it. You know what I mean? I mean that lovingly, but they end up like causing trouble. And then the genetic experience, the Frankenstein, turns against the Frankenstein and then stalls the whole thing out, because we know by the time we get to Pershing that there's a reset. There was something didn't work out. And it's a weird timeline though. Because
that's why I think
because right now we're only 5 years out. We're less than 5 years out. And we're in like year 1, and they stop it, and then 30 years later he still hasn't like really cracked it.
Right, it's decades later in Mandalorian. But I think the problem in the Mandalorian is stage 2 of this project. Mm-hmm. Stage 1, can we get equal out that we put in? Stage 2, what's the maximum capacity that somebody can withstand? And I think stage 2 of the experiment is what we see in the Mandalorian with Dr. Pershing. Like, okay, we figured we cracked the nut on there. I said crack the nut and full load in the same stream. I didn't even pay attention to it.
I was really mature about it. I was real grown up today.
Congratulations. Yeah,
Yeah,
you were. You definitely were.
Mm-hmm.
Some of those in the chat are not so much.
No, I'm not Star Wars Meg. I'm a real grown up.
I know Meg. This is one time. I hope Meg is having a beautiful day, I'm happy she's not here to haze me. It would be bad. It would be bad. She would haze.
Do you think do you think that we're moving towards a Rogue One type setting or an Andor type setting where the science officers essentially are going to rebel against this? Because Omega's big sister, she's kind of a jerk, but you could see that she does have a human connection. She is human. You know what I mean? And then Nala Se is apparently had a little baby girl and was like, "This is my baby." And then has been stuffing that stuff down the trash for a while now to protect the child. So I kind of think that the rebellion is going to against Palpatine's plan is going to come from the inside, beyond the Bad Batch, maybe.
So let's get to that. And I've got to deal with this other super chat from Matt Risman.
Mm-hmm.
Again, Jason, it's not my fault.
No,
right? It's not my fault. I've tried. I've done what I can. But these people. These people here, they keep doing it, right? They keep doing it.
Why that white girl Calypso? Don't let it stop you.
No, there it is. You got to deal with it. All of you. All of you.
Yeah.
It's not my fault.
Right.
Don't blame Santa. Santa didn't do it. It's all. No, thanks for bringing it up. And it kind of, you're directing me towards Trev's question. And Trev asked about Nala Se knows that Omega's blood has this capacity and it's on purpose. Why did let me go back up to Trev's comment again, just so I can get the full context of the comment correct. It says Nala Se knows that Omega's blood allows for midichlorian transfer with no loss. Why does she know that? I think she knows it because in one of the first tests, when you see Nala Se with her blood, it does the little thing, and she sees the result. She's like, "Oh no, this isn't good. This result shows that Omega is a potential. We're going to throw that in the trash right now."
Yeah, and I theorize that she's like the frogs in Jurassic Park. You can take the Tyrannosaurus Darcidius blood or samples and probably use her as a base to begin like the replication and have it work. Whereas Palpatine just by himself, for whatever reason, which is why the Strandcast thing comes up later, because they can't just do a 1-to-1. Here's Palp.
Right. And so, and it says, why did she develop that in Omega? I'm not sure she did. We don't know that she did develop that ability in Omega when they did the when she was cloned, right? So that maybe she did on purpose. We don't know yet. We don't know.
It would be cool if they like got her blood and like they tried to do it, and then instead of it being like an Ian McDiarmid or that, it's just like a little girl Palpatine. It's like a little freak. That'd be fun.
Yeah. Dale asked a question. Do you think that Pershing he learns from Nala Se or learns of Nala Se's experiments? Perhaps. We'll find out. But I think when we get to Dr. Pershing, they may have cracked the bit about the midichlorian transfer. That part may be solved, but then the other part about capacity, right? That's a whole separate question. The capacity is maybe the problem that Pershing's trying to solve. And we see with that capacity issue that all of the clones that Pershing keeps, and he says as much, right? The clone, the Strandcast, the whatever he's putting those midichlorians into, they were able to manage it for a time, and then the clone itself degrades. Right? It doesn't withstand it. We know that's phase 2. By the time we get to Rise of Skywalker, and we get some more information there about what's been going on, and in the novelizations, when we start to learn more about the whole process, and that Palpatine was cloning copies of himself, and those copies of himself did not have the capacity. So we know that Pershing's experiments are not going to come up with a satisfactory result. And I think that Snoke is definitely one of the outcomes. We know that, right? Snoke is definitely one of the outcomes where it has such a terrible impact on him that it deforms him. And we know that Palpatine's clones of himself, by the time we get past the point of can we transfer the same midichlorians, those clones aren't getting the job done.
Another thing to mention too is in the Clone Wars, we learned that the Jango template is expiring. That if they're not able to keep the original sample and keep pulling from it like it's good forever, they do run out. So that also means that even cracking it with her would mean that they would still have to detain her for longer than where they're at. That's the other part of this, because if they do have it, they might be able to make some progress, but then it would stall out. Now, but we still run up against the problem with that being a huge issue, that Palpatine has 30 years to go find another fit. And if they did they could literally recreate the Camino situation entirely to get back there event, so that's where there has to be a better snag than that, but that would also be a snag for them.
Matt challenges me a little bit here. Nala Se was concerned for Omega since the very beginning, though. Right? Mm-hmm. She had to know before now. Perhaps she knows. There's two things about Omega. One is she's her daughter. Yeah, she's raised her. She doesn't have the mutation to double age. Right? She's again a reminder.
She pulled a reverse Jango. She was like, oh, "I'm going to keep one for me."
Yeah, she did. Absolutely. Yeah. And Omega is just a reminder for folks, is older than Crosshair. You see them together. She's older than Crosshair.
Yeah.
But Crosshair aged double. So he's much older than her in physically. Right? So I think the one reason Nala Se is concerned is because that's her daughter. And she knows that she's a clone. She's special. Nala Se has likely done plenty of experiments on her own daughter to know the specialness of her daughter, and is protecting her daughter out of love for her daughter. So does she know that Omega can withstand a full M count transfer? We don't know. To this point, we don't know that Nala Se was ever involved in any M count experiments. She was involved in cloning. And you go back to when Omega was created, when she was cloned. It's before the Bad Batch. It's shortly after Wave 1, or about the same time as Wave 1. She's the same age as Boba Fett, essentially. They're about the same age. We're not exactly sure which of them is older than the other, but they're about the same age.
Okay.
I think Boba Fett's a little bit older, but I don't know that we know for sure. So that's.
I feel like we worked it out one time and we got like a 2-year difference between them, but that
I feel like we did too. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. My memory is like failing me right now. Yeah. But in any event, she's in that age group. I'm not sure Palpatine and what's going on here at Mount Tantus. This is obviously his Project Necromancer, right? Project Necromancer. When did it start? Did it start back when Omega was born, or cloned? I'm not sure, and I don't think Omega was created for that purpose. Just as Nala Se's daughter, and she loves her daughter, she's trying to protect her daughter. That's what I think.
Mm-hmm. Same.
Omega's blood is not supposed to be altered. At least it doesn't have the double aging aspect to it, right?
And that's what opens up the legitimacy of a story where Boba Fett has a long lost sister, or depending on the timeline, mother, but probably sister, and Also, really strange to open that up though, and then like be like, we ain't gonna touch it yet. But I hope they do, because I think that could be fun, especially if she does develop any kind of, if there is any Jedi stuff that happens with her. Because imagine Boba meets his sister and she's a Mace Windu. That's a great story right there, because he early on doesn't like the guys because they cut off his dad's head. So if he meets his sister and then she's one, that that makes for an interesting thing. And later on, when we get to that movie, when I assume Boba Fett and Luke Skywalker will be on the same Avengers team, maybe that's why it's fine. Maybe that's why it's a non-issue 30 years later for him.
Yeah, perhaps. I'm just, what I really, really wanted to lean into is that we know that this is sampling blood. It's not sampling, and about the transfer of M count transfer.
Right.
Matt's trying to set me straight again. Says the Prime Minister says in Bad Batch Season 1, once you obtain the genetic material you need from her, terminate her. But she's already older, right? Were they doing it when she was born? Let's say 7 years, 8 years, 12 years before? Were they doing it? Or were they doing it at that point? Like, we don't know. Well, I don't think.
It's obviously fiction and not real science. Yeah. But you could have a situation where you clone the baby girl, you make her, and she's a child. The midichlorian crap hasn't really manifested and come up to where it would be at maturation. So you might need her to hit puberty or the cusp of adulthood, essentially, where you're going to get like more of the max level of where she would be. And that might have been the long game for her. And then now they do the test, no go, Terminator. And then, but then it turns out she really was the right thing. And Nala Se has been tossing the vials, Luke Skywalker's lightsaber behind her back the whole time. So
right. She keeps throwing them into the incinerator. So this is important. And I don't think, and I don't know for sure what that specimen is. Right? The specimen, we don't know yet. Hopefully we will. Is it Palpatine? Is it Plagueis? You guys did this. Now I'm thinking maybe the sample, maybe the specimen is Plagueis. That'd be funny. That'd be great. People would lose their minds. Wait, it's Plagueis. He's doing to him what Plagueis did to that other Biff. And I can't remember that other Biff's name.
I mean, so if it was Rey's father, no one would get it. No one. It was it's that guy I saw for one scene in a movie in 2019 before a pandemic. Nobody's going to remember that. So I think it has implication to Rey's dad. It won't be Rey's dad. You end up with you could have it being Snoke. You could go left field and have it be like Revan. You could have it go left field and then also have it be Plagueis or whatever, you know what I mean, like that kind of thing. Yeah. And but I am so gonna be annoyed if it's nothing, if they just never say it in the show, because I don't like the idea of introducing a huge mystery in the narrative of one format and then just being like, now you got to go watch some rando show in 5 years to get the answer to it. I'll be like, ooh, that won't sit well with me. So I do hope we get it by the end of the season, and I think we will. I think we should.
I hope so.
That's why I'm being chill about it. I'm just like, let's just wait and see if they get to it by the end of it. And if they don't, then I'm like, nah, sorry. You guys don't know how to tease. You're just literally Cardano sticking us with that. If that's what they do.
Well, it would be great reveal to find out who the specimen is. I really want to know who or what that specimen is. Do
you think Boba Fett, does this have ramifications for Boba Fett?
Well, it could. I don't think anybody's connected that dot yet, at least not in the storyline, because they created him for Jango.
But I mean, if I were not a Kaminoan, I would look at, or whatever, the Imperials who took it over, I'll look at the thing and be like, oh, well, we have this guy who's just a boy, the boy version of the same thing. Well, yeah, get him in here. Like, you know what I mean? That would be the logical. So that, I mean, this could spawn a story about Boba Fett being at odds with them for a time with Vader and the Emperor. And then Obviously, they would come to some resolution because he hires him in Empire Strikes Back. But
another super chat. This one's a deep cut for fans of the show who have been around for a minute, right? But we'll get to that in just a second. Nerd Mafia.
Only on YouTube can you hate books and make money off of it.
So Fitz asked the question, will this be the Mark Omega from Rogue One, right? It could be. I don't think that it is, but...
Oh, does she identify as a guy now? She's like, I'm Mark.
Well, look, there is a theory that she's transgender. She's actually male, not female.
Yeah,
there is a theory.
That was early on. That was like a legitimate. Yeah, it could go that way, kind of thing. But then they don't. I don't know. They feminized her a bit this season.
Yeah, but I think that's a nice tie-in. It's the same thing as Echo Base. Is Echo Base a connection to Echo? I don't think so. Those are common military terms.
Oh, yeah,
Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta, Echo.
Now that we got it, though, they can do it.
They can. And I think the same thing here. Mark Omega, I don't think that had anything to do with Omega when you watch Rogue One. Could it eventually become some reference to her? Maybe. But that's down the road. So there it is. Nerd Mafia's super chat. He says, fine. Don't read it. I'm going to need your help with something else, though. I recently got kicked off my school basketball team and really could use some advice. Yeah.
Just keep trying, shooter.
Just keep trying.
Remember Wayne Gretzky, you miss every shot you don't take.
See, there you go. Yeah. Be persistent. Be persistent. Keep working at it.
Also, don't wear pants when you play. It'll let you stand out on the team, and when you're not there, you'll be noticed.
Oh, Yachty's got to go. So it says surgery is over. Have to go. Would you tap that? What?
Would you tap Yachty?
Wait, that was something else. That was something else. No, it moved on me as I was reading it, and I was like, wait. No, she says, have a great weekend, everyone. She says, surgery's over. Gotta go. Have a great weekend, everyone. And then it was Skywalker's Academy. It says, well, that's the mark to hit. Would you tap that? That was Dale. And I don't know what you're talking about, Dale.
Now we're going to play a new game on Star Wars Santa's show. Would you tap that? Nerd Mafia would tap. Star Wars Fits? Maybe. Matt Risman already did.
Definitely. Oh yeah, he already did. Yeah. Risman already did. Yeah. Thank you again for the super chat, Nerd Mafia. The basketball team thing that goes way back. We had a guy who asked that question in a super chat, and I was that's a deep take.
Was that real or was that like a bot?
No, it was real.
So it was
real.
Okay.
It was real. There was a guy who visited the channel all the time, asked weird questions, and then he asked that. Everyone was like, "What?" I don't know what you're talking about.
I want him to come back because I liked the questions he's asking. He's asking the questions that nobody else, most people are afraid to ask.
Kanshu, $28 super chat. Thank you for that. Canadian. It says Asajj takes the bounty on Omega. Realizes she is force sensitive, so she saves her from the Empire. At the end, she is taken from Tanalorr by Cal for training and protection. This could explain her absence during the current time. I love that.
I considered that too because Asajj being a force user would put her in this and a known one because when she does help the Jedi, they like pretty much declare. She was a good gal. She's dead now, right? But then she's not dead. So it would stand the reason that she may join up with Voss and she may be helping on on the path. She might be part of that system. It's possible.
Part of this assumes that Omega is force sensitive. She has force power. But definitely do not know that.
No, but I mean, like if you just think about like the Underground Railroad. If you were a white person who was helping the Underground Railroad and you were going to get busted, they wouldn't be like, well, this is only for the slaves. Sorry. You know what I mean? Like they wouldn't treat it like that. They would. So there's a chance that considering where they want her, it would be as important to that mission as that. So they could, I don't think they're going to go that way because it sounds too fun, but they could, and it would make sense. And we do have the connective like tissue there. The only question would be is, does Ventress go back to find Boss after the resurrection pool, or does she go like, no, my heart is broken, I must stay on my own? But we do have Ventress with Boba was supposed to hand over a little girl, like a child bride, and Ventress is like, nah, I ain't about this. This isn't what I do.
Right.
So there we do have the thing of her taking a job and then being like, nah, I ain't doing it. So that might happen again. Right.
She threw Boba in a trunk and locked it. Yeah.
Yeah. Loser.
That is a possibility. I still think it's very possible that she goes with Fennec Shand.
Mm-hmm.
Fennec was hired by Nala Se originally to protect Omega, go get her, save her. She's been kidnapped. She didn't know that the Bad Batch were going to bring her in as family. She's just worried about her well-being. Yeah. And then she finds out, oh, the Batch are actually they're good for her, and kind of calls Fennec off. I think Fennec is very likely to be the gap for Omega. Like, where was Fennec during the original trilogy? Omega is with Fennec. That's my opinion. She could be with Asajj, though. Khonshu, you could absolutely be right. Any
both.
Of those are.
I mean, they might
maybe,
or maybe. Yeah, it might be a story. I mean, they might be competing for her.
Yeah,
and maybe, you know what I mean. And then they do the right thing. I would have to think that Ventress would do the right thing. If she is doing the wrong thing and sticks with it, then it's like kind of like, well, what was the point of that story? You know, in Clone Wars, and that's a Filoni story. I don't think he's down to erase his own ideas.
Yeah.
So
yeah. But thank you for that, Khonshu. That's a really good theory. I love it. So Mike Porter, he was kicked off his Quidditch team. You know, his same problem that Nerd Mafia has, except he's on a Quidditch team. And how does he get back on? Harry kicked him off. Well, Mike, maybe go talk to Hermione and see if Hermione will give you a good reference to Harry to let you back on the team. That's what I would do. I'd go have a little chat with Hermione and see if she could help you out. Dale asks, everyone has the Force, and if they work at it, they might be able to raise their M count. That's what George basically said. He said, that's why we need Santa. Look, Dale, naughty. I'm not reading that book again. Not doing it. But there you go. She could be in unknown regions. My friend, go ahead.
No,
I've got a friend. She's going to be put in a stasis, right? So go ahead, Filoni. What?
No. Dark Disciple is still canon. The idea, as if you read the end of Dark Disciple, they put her in a green pool, and the sisters are like, "Welcome back!" Woo! And then you're like, "Oh," and then if that was that, then that was her death. But we could easily ascertain that they put her in the green pool, and then she comes back to life and steps out of it. They basically brought her back. Yeah. So the Jedi just didn't know what they were doing when they did it.
Right. Exactly. That's going to easily explain how she comes back after Dark Disciple, and Dark Disciple's completely canon. Yeah.
That was written. That was a story from the Lucases and Katie Lucas and stuff like that. I don't think it would be an easy one to decide just to like retcon. I don't think they would do it. I think it would have lasting historical critique against the corporation and Dave Filoni for doing it. So I just don't think it would ever be worth it.
Obsession. Good to see you, my friend. Thanks for stopping in. Today is a good day. Indeed it is. And Nerd Mafia hasn't read Dark Disciple yet. He's got it on his nightstand. He sent me a picture the other day. He had it in his hands. So Nerd Mafia's got that book. I am currently reading the last wave of the High Republic. And the novel I'm reading now is Escape from Vala. which in the first wave is where they held the big World Fair at. It wasn't called the World Fair, but that's essentially what, if you get that in your head, then the Nile came and ruined all the fun. Now we've got some people hiding out on Valo, and the Nile, we're going to have a party, and they ruined the Nile's fun.
I'm on the naughty list, but the Nile
Yeah.
on the naughty list.
In that book,
Nihilist.
there's some
Nihilist.
interesting things in that book. We can see that Dexter from the prequels, the guy with four arms and
little handsy, that guy,
and the greasy grill, he knows Maz Kanata.
Oh yeah.
So you get in this one book, you get High Republic, prequels, and sequels. How cool is that?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's cool. So there you have it. It's a pretty good book so far. I'm 25% in. There's more. Brandon says, I hope we get an epilogue with Omega at the end of the series. That'd be great. Find out where she went after this. Or you see her leave with Fennec, or you see her leave with Ventress or whatever, and you know that's where she's headed. And then I'm looking forward to someday maybe getting Omega in live action. So, real quick, before we jump over into Bespin Bulletin's articles, there's a couple of things I just want to touch base on here. What do you think is going to happen in the next couple of episodes? They set up that Hemlock has all the resources he needs. I think they're going to call. He's eventually going to call for the put a bounty up for Omega's return, her safe return. Right, it's important that she comes back alive to the to the project.
Something just worth considering that probably doesn't come into play, but could, is that the Night Sisters, and they have this magic of resurrection that were dealt with big time in the Clone Wars, and then we see it coming into the Ahsoka series. We see things like Project Necromancer being dropped into this show first, where it was created for this, and then ending up in the Mandalorian and stuff like that. There's always a chance that Ventress, being one of the last living witches in that scenario, might have knowledge and things that Palpatine wants, since she literally came back from the dead.
Yes, that's true. Literally,
so that actually would make Ventress and Omega have the same plight. They're both wanted by the same guy for the same reason, but different pathways to the same abilities some would consider to be unnatural.
True. Good question. Let me ask a question, different question. What do you think the chances are? We'll go down the list. Crosshair survives the season. What do you think the chances are he survives the season?
10%. 10%.
10%.
You don't get to kill and betray, and then not. I mean, he did a little bit of hard time. It wasn't a good atonement, though. So
I'm with you.
Yeah, I think he needs to now prove that he is pure of heart and not a scumbag, and that's going to cost him in terms of the story. So.
Yeah. What do you think the odds are that Hunter survives the season?
I think Hunter's going to survive. I think he does, because I think he's the protagonist that the little boys gravitate towards. He's got the cool bandana. He's Rambo, and I don't think you kill him. I don't think on a show that is intended for all ages, I think he survives. But I think that anybody that's not Omega and Hunter is potential chopping block stuff.
So 90%, 100%. What do you think?
I say 90%. He lives, 90%. The other guy dies. That's
I think I'm at 80%. Hunter lives.
Mm-hmm.
On Wrecker.
Mm-hmm.
What are the chances he survives?
I say he dies because he's not live action compatible in a very viable way in so many words. And and I also think that, like, there comes a point. I mean, I think, who even knows if everybody's even dead who we think is dead. But if you do go down any pathway like that, there needs to be consequence. So I would say he's the most likely to die as well. In terms of the good guy dying. Yeah, because you could kill Hunter and get the emotion, but you could also get the same response from the other guy, from Wrecker. It would be the same, like the honorable hero protector who dies. It on paper it's very even.
So are you at 10% with him as well?
But he has no protagonist viability, so that's why I say I think he's more likely to die.
Yeah, are you like the 10% with Crosshair, or
50%? I'm 50% on record dying. Yeah, I am. But okay, 51% that he dies. I'm like just a little over on. I think he would likely go out.
Yeah, I'm 80% on Wrecker living as well.
Yeah, I think he has like a Hodor moment. He holds the door and then
What are the odds Omega survives the season?
100%.
Yeah, I think it's 100%. I'll say 99.5% she survives the season. Yeah. I think it's almost a certainty. And
okay, let me ask you this. Odds are of a happy ending for her.
No, it's almost zero.
Almost zero, yeah.
A happy ending for Omega? No.
Return to the Jedi bittersweet ending is probably the most we could ask for, right?
Yeah, and she's going to leave. Like, her brothers may join, the surviving brothers are going to join Rex and go off, and she's going to leave with Finnick or Ventress or something like that. And it's going to be a very bittersweet, heartbreaking kind of moment. I think we can count on that. I can count on that. And what do you think? I'm going to ask this. What do you think the chances are we get any big cameo like Yoda, Yaddle, Cal Kestis? Who's the lady from the game that the Night Sister lady? I know her name from the Fallen Order game.
Oh yeah. The
I know her name.
Yeah.
I can't think of it.
Not right now. Seer is one. Seer is a possibility, but I'm going to say Seer is unlikely considering where she's at in terms of her story.
KG gave it to us. Yeah, it's Marin.
I don't think it could be Seer because she's not really come around to being open to like Cal Kestis yet. So I kind of don't know if it would go that way with her. But Marin and Ventress would seem likely to know each other or have some connection, right?
Yeah, know each other, but show up in the series.
At the same time, she's still there. She just stays on that planet thinking she's like the last one. Maybe she lies, or maybe Ventress dies before then, and she is the last one when we meet her in that point of the story. That's possible too. So there's a lot of open-ended stuff on that potential.
There is. I think the chance of seeing any of those characters is low. Yeah. Very, very low. In at least in the next few episodes, it's none.
Look at how long it took to get the Rebels characters out of Star Wars Rebels into anything else after Star Wars Rebels. It's like they can't really start moving around and doing stuff on somebody else's like story. Like the Fallen Order trilogy isn't done yet,
right?
And to go in to mess with it at all just completely like could have ramifications on what they could do in the third story. And so when that script is done and solidified, but usually nothing is solidified until it's out. So I'm going to say that it would be highly unlikely, and we're lucky we even got what we got in Kenobi, but that was a setting. That was a little bit different. Of course, the setting would exist, therefore it's fine.
Yeah, I think there's a chance. We know for sure we're going to see Rex. I think like 0% chance we see Ahsoka or Grogu or anybody like that from another show.
Well, unless Palpatine was looking at Grogu.
Well, it could be, but at least in the next few episodes, I'm going to say maybe towards the end of the season, maybe one of them will pop in. But in the next 2 or 3 episodes, it's like 0% we're going to see anybody like that show up.
I also think Grogu, in terms of the animated stuff, is a bit of there's a potential there in a future show of some type of an animated Grogu kind of thing. Yeah. And if you put him in a cameo here, it diminishes the power of the potential of that. And that's what's made me ultimately think they probably won't want to cash that chip in yet.
Yeah, I don't either. And we saw that he left with Kelleran Beck. He was saved by Kelleran Beck. He wasn't captured by the Empire immediately. We don't know where he went with Kelleran. We know he ends up with the Empire, but there's a lot of his story to develop in between that, and to put him in Mount Tantus as at this point is too soon. Too soon. I don't think so. It could, but at least not in the next few episodes. I think it's like 0% chance we see any of that. We're not going to see Ahsoka. We're not going to see Grogu. We're not going to see Yoda, Yaddle, Chewbacca. Some sort of cameo of a big wowzer moment. Not happening. It
doesn't seem like it would be very necessary from what we know of the story. And then we know that we're obviously moving towards a bounty hunter arc of some kind or intermingling. And that right there, I think, would be the best potential of the possibilities, is we know the bounty hunters that Ventress has worked with before. And so could you see Dengar? I mean, I would honestly say you're more likely to see Dengar than any of the people you just said, just based off of that. But I'm not looking at my watch going, how long until Dengar shows up?
Right. and Bosk, right? Bosk could definitely
Bosk,
show up.
Dengar,
but
the boys.
That with the bounty hunter stuff, and I think that's going to be not right away. The entire thing with Fitz says, didn't he take Grogu to Naboo? There's a strong argument for that when we see how he took him. I think there's a really strong argument for that. And then it says that things with Grogu where things go dark is interesting. Yes. And Yaddle is dead. Yaddle is dead. I know we see her die in the other series, the Tales of the Jedi. Yeah, she dies because at Dooku's hand. Yeah, so Yaddle's dead. Good point. Let's see what else. Khonshu. Another 279 from Khonshu says Tales of the Jedi, Kelleran Beck. And we see Grogu. Oh, I like that. We get another series of Tales of the Jedi. And Tales of the Jedi can include a Kelleran Beck story arc. And in that story arc, we can see where he takes Grogu. I love that idea.
And if he did take it, if they did form that up and have Jar Jar be because Jar Jar it was going to save Luke and Leia, and then Lucas pulled back on the story. That was going to be this helpful fool who ends up being like the savior of the galaxy, and they didn't do it. And I think doing it with Grogu would be a pretty good. It's a bit checkboxy, but when you're having your nerd debates about Jar Jar Binks' viability, well, he did save Grogu. There is that. I think they should do that, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Very good. I want to get into Bespin's articles. Mm-hmm. We've got a couple of articles from Bespin Bulletin this week. The first one was about how long will the Mandalorian Grogu film for? It's a relatively short time when you compare it to other movie times, right?
Mm-hmm.
This one says,
I'm not. He hasn't told me anything other than what's in this article. So as far as I know, I don't know anything else. But like reading between the lines of this article, it seems to me like what he's saying is this is essentially going to be the time equivalent of what would come out of the series. instead of making 8 episodes of the show, they're making 2 hours of the show. And that 2 hours of the show, or 2 hour, 20 minutes, is going to be the movie. That's my takeaway from it. And he talks about the budget in this article a bit. And he says it's going to cost less than a season, right? Isn't that what it says?
Yeah.
And
so it's shooting for 4 months. The last season of Mandalorian took 6 months, and that was just for the principal photography. So yeah,
it was that and 3 reshoots on that series. On 3.
Yeah. And it says here, Jeff Schneider on the Hot Mic said Disney's looking to spend less on their films. So it says the Fantastic Four and Blade would be made for under $100 million. Leads me to this minor tidbit that the budget on Mandalorian and Grogu isn't as high as what one season of the Mandalorian would cost.
We could just look at what the price point is per minute of Mando, based off of just running it up to $130 million for a season of Mando at 8 episodes, and then you could kind of come in. Well, okay, what's this? Around where is this going to be just to make it exist? Now, obviously it would be a little bit more than that, because I would imagine that the ILM visual effects would be at a little bit of a higher level of detail, considering it's going to be scrutinized on a big screen in theaters as opposed to our home theaters where we can see pretty well, obviously. But I would still think that there would be a little bit more. So I think you could pretty much do that math, and then you could add probably a good 20% or something like that. Just making up a number, but 20% for the extra visual effects quality. And then I think we probably have what that movie would come in at. And all of the infrastructure, if they are filming it all generally here in California, it's all set up. They got the production offices going. I know that there's been some movement on stuff like that, but there's the production offices are there. They have the set in El Segundo. They got the land over at Cal State Dominguez Hills. They got and then just the surrounding warehouses and stuff like that. That's enough to make that movie here without having to really incur any more cost than what they're already paying. They have that, I think the lease has been up since then, but I know originally they had that land for 5 years. I inquired about renting it myself, I was just curious if I could rent the Mando land and how I could go about it. And that's when I learned that they had it for 5 years.
Hey, Fitz, have a great weekend, my friend. Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you next week. There's rumors of what is going on with Mandalorian season 4. If they're doing something concurrently with a shortened season 4, or they're filming for the movie and for the season, we don't know. We don't know if there even will be a season 4 at this point. Maybe not even, right? So
yeah, so we had a conversation on my show, me and Bespin did, about this, and then it ending up on the Twitter account saying we said there's no season 4. We're not saying that there is or that there isn't. We don't know, but every single sign at the moment that we have points towards everything being the movie, and that if they make a season 4, it looks like it would have to go after the movie, or concurrent with the movie, which would admittedly be a way of potentially saving a lot of money on that budget for the film.
Right.
I heard a rumor that I don't know if they went this way, but there was a rumor amongst crew members telling me, we think that we might be making 6 episodes. That's what that was the Lucasfilm rumor at the time. Right. And then the rest of that stuff, excuse me, would be the film. The 2 episodes would be turned into a film for that. So is that happening? I don't know. I'm not saying it is. I don't know. So
right. If there is a season 4, I would say it would have to most likely be a concurrent filming kind of thing. The Acolyte. There's been a couple of things. We have a potential release date of June 5th. This is not confirmed by Lucasfilm. It's not something that they've published anywhere, but I
believe the original report says it's a tentative release date. Yeah, which to me makes me kind of go right. I don't trust Collider's stuff based off of their cherry picking of what's exclusive and where the info comes from. And they might have just went and read bestmanbulletin.com and then said, oh, well, that Wednesday makes sense or something like that. So, but they did get the composer on Acolyte. So there is that.
Matt Risman. It's hilarious. How could they release the series when they only ever made a sizzle reel? Everybody was fired. They sent everybody home. How are they going to release a series when nobody even worked on the series? They didn't do any filming, and everybody was sent home
because she was Harvey Weinstein's assistant. You guys think about what that means.
So anyway, this is one of my frustrations with Lucasfilm as a whole is their publicity, the publicity arm of them, trying to keep things secret and undercover until last moment and have these big reveals. A release date that is less than 6 months off is not breaking the bank. It is not a criminal offense. There's nothing wrong with telling us that we're going to release it on June 5th or August 17th. It doesn't matter. Just give us a date, then we have something to expect. You don't have to release a trailer. You don't have to release a sizzle. You don't have to release any set photos. You can just simply put a date on it. It's that easy.
Also, you could put a date on it and make the date the latest date possible. And when you move it up, you'll be a hero, Lucasfilm. When it's wrong, you'll be a hero.
And we got another one that says the composer, Michael Abels, is going to score or is scoring.
Who looks like the bad guy from Police Academy. I can't unsee it every time I see him.
It says, again, according to Collider, Michael Abels, the composer behind 3 feature films written and directed by Jordan Peele, Get Out, Us, and Nope. I've seen Nope. Haven't seen the other ones, is scoring the upcoming live action Star Wars series, The Acolyte. Abels directed these efforts. In addition, he composed soundtrack for the HBO movie Bad Education. And outside of Peele films, there are films Breaking, which stars John Boyega, and Landscape, and with an invisible hand. Landscape with an invisible hand. I don't know that one.
That one's on Amazon. It's good. It's about these UFOs come, aliens come, and they take over. They give us new technology, but they really turn us into bad capitalists. They're the people. The overlord aliens are hyper capitalists. They're like endgame capitalist types. And so they bring us the technology and the stuff, and we're like kind of praising them as our sort of superior overlords, but they're just these little like slime guys. You know, it's a cute little movie. It's worth watching if you just want something chill. It's not very smart, but it's just fun. I liked it.
Real Ben says, I wish we could get a somewhat of a pseudo plan with rough dates announced, like Marvel's given us a roadmap before in the past. I just wish Star Wars would do something like that. Yeah, I wish Lucasfilm would give us something. And we did this. Yeah. We did this show a couple weeks ago where I did this like scorecard idea. I so wish they would give us a scorecard kind of idea to give us basics. They don't have to give away the farm. Just tell us some basics so that we can know what's going on. Yeah, Trev says Kathy can't have a public plan. It's frustrating. It's super, super frustrating. As somebody who's enjoyed the bulk of the Disney era of Star Wars and what has been created for Star Wars under Kathleen Kennedy, I'm a big fan of the bulk of it. This is a frustration point for me. It's really, really, it makes me crazy. I can't understand it. I'm not in a place to understand it. Nobody's called me and said, Santa, let's explain this to you.
Understand it.
I know nothing. So it's super frustrating. That's about it. We've gone long. We've gone an hour and a half, 90 minutes. I've had a great time talking about the Bad Batch. I just wanted to set some expectations and correct some of the things that people have been saying about Omega. She has not been injected with midichlorians. She has not been. We have no evidence that she's force sensitive. We don't know anything like that.
What would you rate their expertise on conveying the ideas in that episode? Not the episode. The conveying of the concepts.
That's a tough question, Jason. It's a good question too. They definitely gave us the pieces. I screenshotted it and I shared.
Yeah.
So it was definitely there. But why did so many people miss it? And why are so many people misunderstanding it? I think it has to do with this secret they're keeping in that whatever that is, the donor. We don't know. I think that's a big part of it. So it leads to a lot of speculation, and then not explaining what was going on with the little testing thing. You have to infer it, and you have to really pay attention and pick up on the pieces rather than them like, we're taking this blood and we're putting M count in and then we're checking the blood. They don't say that. They do show it. They definitely show it.
Yeah.
But you have to pick up those pieces. You have to be paying close attention. And, normally Star Wars fans do that. They slow down and they watch things frame by frame and they go through and they publish their things, the 109 Easter eggs that you missed in episode 1. Yeah.
Yeah. I am afraid that it is Snoke. And then it just ends up being like, okay, then on the carrot on the stick kind of thing that they're doing. I hope that there's something, because we now have this same kind of Project Necromancer hints, things in tanks that we can't see what they really are, but there's this inference or implication on what they are. And does it end up feeling like, when we get a year out from this and the Mando, even further out from Mando, do we just go like, yeah, and so what? I hope that if it's okay, yes, it is that. I hope, and then there's a therefore, and the therefore is interesting.
Yeah.
Because right now, if it's just therefore it was that guy, that's not a very, that kind of, it does make you just kind of go like, everything's muted, nothing matters so much, don't care. So I'm hoping it has some kind of like implication towards where Star Wars is going in the future. That's fun. Yeah. And it'd be all being a Dave Filoni through line here through the animation into the live action and to the featured films. I do think there's a possibility it's more than nothing.
Something occurred to me as you were saying that, and as I was thinking about the question.
Yeah,
they could have done a better job had they shown, like when it pops up to the vial in the machine, and shown it inject blood into it, like pour blood into it. That would have helped. Like every time that goes by, it goes squirt, and then it meters.
Yeah, or if we saw them fail, and then you see it like succeed in how it worked. Yeah, it wasn't bad. Like we can get it. But we had to work for it. You were having to like screenshot and stuff to like really figure this out. But had it shown the vial come up, squirt,
and then dip a test in, red light. Next one, squirt, dip a vial in, red light. Next one, squirt, dip a vial in, green light.
You heard it here, guys. Santa wants to squirt in the red light.
Just say that there's so many things you can clip out of this. You can clip out of this stream. Risman's still giving me the Ray delay troll. You're likely to see Ray's daddy in this season of The Bad Batch before you're ever going to see her in that movie. Matt Risman. And if anybody can get us, go to one of these events where you can meet celebrities, and you can go to an event and you can meet with Jerry Seinfeld. And if you can, on your phone, get Jerry Seinfeld to say Risman, like he says
Newman.
Newman, right? But I'll pay you. I will pay you what it costs you to go get that. If you could get Jerry Seinfeld going, Risman, the same way that he says Newman, then that'll be worth it. Santa, I just need that video so I can clip it and play it like I do the naughty list. I do it. Yeah. It's this stream, right? Bookmark this stream. Share it out to folks. Let them know it's gold, right? Thank you all. Thank you, Jason. I know you've got a thing with your kiddo today.
You got to get going.
You got to find out why he doesn't like pizza.
Why he doesn't like pizza? Yeah, he doesn't like pizza. No.
I know. No, we're just making
picky little dude. He's a picky little dude.
Trev says I could AI it. That's true. I should just AI Jerry Seinfeld saying Risman. I thought I should do that. All right, you guys. Thanks for hanging out with me. Thanks for listening. And I've had a great time. Look forward to talking to you all again soon. Have a wonderful weekend, everyone. We will see you next time. And until then, my friends,
bye.
Merry Christmas, and may the force be with you always. Bye-bye.